Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is going to be my 25 to 29 week pregnancy update video. If you don't already know me, my name's Lizzie. I'm a surface pattern designer and I coach other creative business owners and designer makers in building businesses that they love, that support their lives. I'm very focused on helping people to curate their lives and work less hard and make more money and love what they do, and get well paid by and love what they do, rather than feel like you have to choose to love what you do and not be well paid, or to sell your soul and make lots of money. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. In terms of my pregnancy, I will link a playlist so you can see everything that's come before, but we're now at 25 weeks. It's my second pregnancy. I've already got a little boy called Constantin who's nearly 4, and this is a little boy as well. If I look half asleep, it's because I am half asleep. I almost didn't film today, but we are actually at the point, like the day of the week that I always film to do the update, because I've had the whole of week 25, so I'm actually 26 weeks now, and that's when I will reflect back on the week, and part of me was like, oh, I'll film tomorrow because I'm just exhausted, and then I was like, well, no, I should show up and say I'm exhausted because that's sort of the point in this. So I'm exhausted, I'm fine, but this week that we've had 2 nights of just really bad night's sleep, and not just because of me being pregnant. My son Stan has had a couple of nights this week. I mean, last night wasn't as bad. Last night was mostly just wanting to sleep horizontally between us rather than vertically, with lots of wriggling. And normally he comes in 1, 2, 3 o'clock and just comes in his sleep. We're in our sleep and we all just lie and go to sleep, and it's a king size bed and there's enough space for all of us, and it works brilliantly. But last night he was like really wriggling around and being in silly positions, and actually that's rubbish anyway, but when you're pregnant it's particularly rubbish. If you get walloped in the stomach, that feels not great. So I didn't sleep very well and I'm really tired, and I'm finding it's harder at the stage that I am now in my pregnancy to be tired and it not mean that has an impact on what I can achieve in the day. I work 2 days a week, on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then I squirrel away little pockets of time in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to get things done too, but really Monday and Tuesday are my proper days of the week, and I'm just kind of too tired to really make the most of the working day, if that makes sense. Like, I've got bits and bobs done, but you know, when I feel like my gas canisters are not full, and so I don't like have the momentum to just power through and get all the stuff done and feel in flow and feel intentional. I'm just a bit like, what am I supposed to be doing, you know? And actually earlier in the week we weirdly had a night where Stan was just awake for like 3 hours in the night. I think he woke up at about 3, and in the end at 6 Dan just got up with him, and I was just like, I can't just stay awake longer, like I need to go back to sleep. And in the end, actually, what was quite strange was it was enough to make me ill, if that makes sense. Like, Dan took the day off work because I actually woke up with, once I had managed to go to sleep for a short window of time before Dan would normally go to work, I had a fever. I was really not in a good way at all. So yeah, it's interesting to see the impact that not enough sleep has when you're pregnant. I'm quite a drowsy mouse type, want lots of sleep, dormousey type person anyway. But in becoming a parent, I've really adjusted to that not being realistic. So I was quite surprised at how much it knocked me out, like not being able to sleep. So this next coming week, I need to do loads better at really getting lots and lots of rest. I think at this stage of my pregnancy now, it's more detrimental. Like when I was pregnant last time with Stan, I would basically have a nap every single day. I think I had a nap every single day, if not like at least 4 days a week for the whole 9 months pretty much, and that is not what my life looks like now. And I've been sort of interested that that's been fine, but I think now as the time's creeping on, like I just need more rest now. So need to try and find ways of prioritizing that. And I think it must be a chicken and egg thing, but I am just generally more uncomfortable again. The final week of my last video, I was talking about how I had been really uncomfortable, but I was much more comfortable because baby has moved around into a more sensible position that feels better. That's still true that the baby feels in a better position, but I've been really uncomfortable with aches and pains in my back, and I think that that's definitely related to not getting enough sleep. So yeah, I just need more sleep basically. I'm all right otherwise, but I need more sleep. I'm really excited that in a couple of weeks time we're going to the Lake District for half term, but I'm starting to be like, oh gosh, I hope that I can sleep well. My mum and dad are driving down, so I'm thinking like, I guess I have to send like my pillow setup that I use at home in order for me to be able to sleep, but they're going the day before us, so then how will I sleep that night that I've given them pregnant women and their pillows? So yeah, that's all I really have to offer you. I am tired and I will do my best to get more sleep and to be able to fill you in on more things in the next few weeks that are more specific to what's going on, because I feel like in my body everything that is aching and hurting, which is a lot, is just down to me not getting enough rest, and if I got more sleep I would be doing a lot better. So that's the plan, that's the priority, and I'll speak to you next week. Thank you. Hello, so let's talk about week 26. I've just been watching back last week. Firstly, this is not 25 to 29 weeks, this is 25 to 28 weeks, because at each time it's 4 weeks, 25, 26, 27, 28. So let's talk about week 26. Unfortunately, I am just as exhausted as I was last week. I'm just so tired at the moment. I do think, of course it's pregnancy, but I do think there is a factor as well of it's half term next week, and the setup that we have in our family, by the time that it's half term and Dan's going to be off for a week and I get some like a bit more sleep in the mornings because he doesn't have to get up so early to get to work, like I'm ready. I'm ready for it to be half term. So hopefully I'm going to get lots of rest next week and it's going to be loads better, but I am still really knackered. I have noticed, not just from looking at my ankles and feet actually, but they have gotten a little bit swollen. Not really swollen, they're not really swollen, but they are a little bit swollen. Didn't notice that so much till right at the end last time. But the reason I noticed, see how tired I am, I can't actually not yawn on camera talking to you. When I take my socks off, my leg like goes dink to where the line of the elasticated bit is, and then it goes dink back out again. So I've noticed that that's going on. I'm still managing generally to like get my 5k in because I'm with Stan, we're going out to stay and plays, we walk to them, they tend to be 20-25 minutes away, so there and back gets you a good chunk towards 5k. So yeah, and I would just say like I'm just not managing to get the same amount of work done that I would normally get done, so that's why I really want to get back on top of my game, because at the moment it's almost like my Mondays and Tuesdays where I've got my mum, I can actually get the rest that I need, whereas those days are supposed to be the days I can really get the work done that I need. So I'm hoping that this week will make a difference, because it's not really very sustainable at the moment, like how tired I am. We had 2 midwife appointments this week, because we had one at the Homerton as our last appointment at the Homerton, because we are officially moving over to the home birth team. So on the same week,
the iPad went black and it needs to be charged.
Okay, it needs to be charged. Should we plug it in? Okay, let's go and do that.
We need to go on the sofa.
Yeah, that's fine. You can sit on the sofa. Okay, yes, I was saying that we had in the same week an appointment at the hospital, and then with Sophie, our amazing midwife, who is gonna be our home birth person. So that was like today, this week, sorry, like 3 hours plus of midwife appointments. But everything seems good. Got some more blood work done at the hospital, all seeming fine. Baby's measuring a week or two bigger than I am, and I know that they need to have that guide to make sure that things aren't going like off the chart. But it is also a weird system because of course there's no like one body size that a measurement of someone's bump would mean that the baby is the right number of weeks. Like it's kind of a weird archaic system, but so they're just staying on top of that in case it ends up that the baby like is progressing at a size that is much bigger than they would expect. The other thing is my iron's a bit low, so I need to be getting like more beans and legumes and all of that kind of stuff into my diet, and spinach and all of the things. But I might also take like a natural supplement for the next 4 weeks, and then she's going to come back again and do some bloods, and if I need to actually take medicine to get my iron up, I will. I used to be a meat eater and now I'm a vegetarian, so I think I just need to be a bit more intentional about what I'm eating. I also, particularly over the last few weeks when I've been really, really tired, my diet hasn't been as good, and it's so annoying because you're knackered and so you don't eat as well, but then you start craving sugar and then you have like dips, and then you're not fueling yourself, and then you're tired because you're not eating properly. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So again, hoping that next week being away means we can be really intentional about what we're eating and fuel ourselves really well. So that's what was going on with that last appointment at the hospital. The plan should be now that any blood work or anything else that I get done, I can get done here, and they can take blood here. Sophie was awesome. She was here for like 2 hours going through all of the stuff about her homework, all of the benefits, all of the risks, all of the just everything. So that felt really good and really, really positive. And yeah, the statistic for first births, I think, is about 45% of people who start a home birth do get transferred to a hospital. But when it's a second birth, I think she said that the national figure is 12%, but the local figure in their hospital specifically is 8%. So that's kind of exciting because I'm like just up for labouring at home for as long as possible, and if I have to go in, then it's fine. I'd love to be able to give birth at home if it works out that way. But 8% of people transferring, that's not that many. So it feels quite exciting that getting all of this in place means there's a really good chance we can have our baby like in this room, and go to bed as a family in bed together, in our own space. So that would be awesome. So yeah, if people are interested, I'll probably throw some extra videos in about the home birth stuff, because I know that it's not just what everybody does as a bog standard thing. So let me know in the comments if there are any specific things you want to know about, but I'll probably do like a preparing for home birth type video in terms of the stuff that the kit that we get and the stuff that we have in place so that we can do it at home. I will still wow, this is not a sentence that is coming out. I will still pack a hospital bag, so that if we need to go to hospital, we can. But yeah, it's crazy to be basically at the beginning now, end of second trimester, beginning of third trimester, because it's all becoming really, really real. So there are also going to be videos coming about getting our bedroom ready for baby number 2 and stuff like that. So I feel like this now last stretch of the third trimester is going to be quite like getting everything in place before I'm too big and too exhausted. Speaking of big, and speaking of measuring 2 weeks later, this is where we're at with Boo. You can probably, I don't know if I'm making that easier to see or harder to see, but there's a baby in there. So yeah, other than feeling exhausted, I'm not uncomfortable. I went through a little phase of being a bit uncomfortable with baby moving around. Sophie thinks that the baby has their head sort of up here at the moment and they're like to one side. So the head's not like down or engaged yet, but there is plenty of time for that. I'm probably going to start doing a bit of spinning babies. I will link to spinning babies if that's of interest to you, but it's positions that you can get your body into to make it as easy as possible for the baby to get in the right position and engage and have the space they need in your uterus to like turn and be in the position they're supposed to be, because the way we live now, we do so much like sitting and reclining, and you're like this all the time. Like that's will have been a big part of how Stan ended up being back to back, that if you're tilted backwards, apparently they're much more likely to be in that region. Whereas if you're doing quite a lot of squatting and leaning forward and letting your tummy have that space, there's some like slightly upside down stuff. I'll see how that works. But yeah, it's going to be nice to kind of be doing all of that and making the space and trying to get ready, basically. But yes, I will talk to you again next week, having had a lovely week away that will be really restful, I hope. My mum and dad came this morning for my pillows, so I have to have a night without my pillows. I'm gonna have to prop myself up some other way. I sleep sitting up because I don't feel that comfortable on my side. Maybe actually that is a thing, that I was resting on my side the other day meditating on the sofa, and that felt much more comfortable. So I think now the baby is big enough. Before it was sleeping on my side, it felt like the baby was being like pulled downwards, and I couldn't quite prop my tummy up in a way that felt comfortable. It just felt painful and uncomfortable. So either side was like that. Whereas I think the baby's so big now, my tummy's so big now, it's less like that. So who knows, maybe I'll be able to sleep on my side. But yeah, and then we're off. Then we're off on our hollywobs. So wish us luck, and I will speak to you next week. Hello, I am in the Lake District, which is why the background is different. We're on holiday for half term with my family, and I'm here to talk to you about week 27. So, week 27, I have successfully managed to get more rest because of it being half term, so that's really great, in terms of like not having to get up as early in the morning and having some lie-ins. Things that have been less good are, even though we're in the Lake District and obviously there are beautiful walks, one, it's been really bad weather, but that's not a problem because we don't really mind just going out in whatever. Although there is a storm, we probably wouldn't go out in that, but it's not so much that, it's more that what I hadn't banked on is the fact that going downhill would really hurt. So the baby's quite big, and it sort of feels like if I try and go down to like something steep, it really pulls and creates like quite a lot of round ligament pain. So I get like sharp pains low in my stomach if I try and go downhill. Going uphill obviously is like a bit more tiring than it normally would be because of like lung capacity and stuff, but there's no discomfort, it's just hard work, and that's fine. But like going downhill, it's actually painful, so that's a bit annoying. So I'm actually getting loads less exercise here than I do in London, which is ridiculous because I wanted to be able to go on big walks all the time. But yeah, it's just not flat enough for me to go on anything like as long a walk as I had hoped. So maybe that's partly why I'm a bit uncomfortable. I'm not getting as much exercise as I'd normally like. First night as well in a new bed, like the pillows have been a success. Mama and Papa got them here. I've been sleeping fine because I've had my pillows, but it is, you know, my tailbone's hurting again because my body's just getting used to a different bed. And I've been waking up in the night quite a lot, and it's really hot, which is good because it's cold outside, and so for everyone else it's nice that the house is toasty warm. But for me, like, it's really hot and I wake up in the night, it's very hot. So that's been interesting. But generally, because when the boys get up in the morning, I can go back to sleep again for a little while, it's not a big deal. So I have been getting rest, but I've just not been getting the same amount of exercise. I'm probably not doing as well at drinking as much water as well, because it's like loads of people and all this stuff going on, and it's really fun and we're having a great time. But I'm probably not doing as well on the exercise and the drinking water. Heartburn has been interesting. I've not had much heartburn in this pregnancy or at all with Stan, but it's really like I had to go and buy Gaviscon yesterday because I had a night of not being able to sleep because my throat was just felt like it was burning. So that's fun. But otherwise, yeah, I'm kind of fine. I've still got that, like, my version of Braxton Hicks, which means my whole stomach just goes completely rock solid for like a really long period of time, and that's quite uncomfortable. So yeah, and while that's happening, normally my ribs are getting pushed out. So I don't know if that's just the baby's position that he's pushing on my ribs and making them quite sore, or if it's actually like my ribs moving and doing the transformer thing to get ready so there's space to give birth. My family keeps saying that I look enormous compared to even the beginning of the week when we got here. So I'll show you. Definitely much bigger than I ever got with Stan, but I didn't get to full term with Stan. So yeah, it's a big bump. I reckon the baby's going to come sooner than they think it is, but it could just be a beast of a baby. Daniel does have some like big baby genes in his family. We don't in ours, but we shall see. Yeah, I think that's everything. It's definitely harder to judge symptoms and stuff when you're in a different place, like not being at home, not having my birthing ball and things like that means when I get uncomfortable in the evening, I'm more likely to stay uncomfortable. And it might just be if I'd been at home and could do the things I'd normally do, and like Stan sleeping in our room at the end of the bed. So if in the evening everything feels really tight, I don't go and have a warm shower because that would wake him up. So I'm not using the same tools that I would if I was at home. I'm also probably eating much naughtier food because we're on holiday and there's delicious food all of the time, and the kitchen stocked full of naughty treats and biscuits and all that sort of stuff, and rich dinners. So probably none of that's helping, but it's half term. It can be good when I get home. So yeah, I think that's everything. I will speak to you next week. Hello, I am back from the Lake District and I'm here to talk about week 28. First things first, I'm in the 3rd trimester. So that's really exciting. That it feels very real now, particularly as Stan came at 35 weeks and 37 weeks is full term. I've never ever been more than 8 months pregnant. So to me, it could easily happen in the next like 8 weeks. It might be that I get to 42 weeks and I'm a very grumpy person, very grumpy pregnant lady. But the baby's so big and I just sort of feel like it's probably not going to go on as long as that. We'll have to see what happens. But we definitely have to behave as though like 37 weeks is full term. I'm sort of shooting for 37 weeks to have everything ready so that if I give birth then that's full term. Rather than assuming the 40 weeks that everyone sort of assumes, but who knows what will happen. So yeah, it's getting very, very real. As I say, we're back. It's really nice to be sleeping in my own bed again. The bed there was huge and lovely, but I think it was partly the headboard was just throwing things off, and as I was saying, my tailbone, my coccyx was quite sore from it not being what it's used to. So having a couple of nights now in my own bed has just been like really nice and relaxing, and just easy to sleep. I would say that I'm nothing like as tired as I was before I went away. So even though it was a different bed and stuff, like I was able to top back up my reserves because I got to that point that I was just really exhausted. So that is good. Dan's at work, didn't have a lie-in today and I'm fine. Whereas midweek, the week before we went, like by the middle of not even every day, by the middle of every morning I was like needing a nap and obviously not able to have one because I was with Stan. So it feels good to not be as tired. I have been using the Rennies and the Gaviscon quite a lot. So the heartburn thing is real, like that happens. During the day I'm fine, but after dinner, going into the evening, it's a thing. So that's not that comfy, but it's manageable. The swollen ankles that I mentioned are definitely a thing now, like they're quite swollen. They don't feel uncomfortable. It's just weird when you take your socks off and you're like, oh wow, okay. Because it's not the summer, no one's seeing my ankles anyway, whatever, they're covered up. But yeah, it's not causing any pain or discomfort, but it's very noticeable, I would say, to me anyway. And I've been doing quite well at the iron-rich foods, I would say, but I do need to buy the supplement, the natural remedy that I mentioned I would. I didn't manage to get that before I went away, so when I get that, I will let you know what it is. I need to start taking that before our next midwife appointment, but I've been doing well with like the legumes and the iron rich food basically. I have still been getting all of this tummy tightening stuff. It seems to be just a theme of this pregnancy. So it's another reason it is nice to be home, because my birthing ball, my like yoga ball, seems to be the thing that helps the most. Like sometimes there's just literally nothing you can do. Yesterday, the day before yesterday on Sunday, I was in bed for like an hour, just really, really uncomfortable because it was so tight. And because the baby's so big now, it's like a combination of when the bump gets tight, the lung capacity is really reduced, like everything tightens up and goes higher. And I was like it almost felt a bit like having to breathe through contractions, not as extreme as that, but like I couldn't quite catch my breath and I was just having to like focus. And through it, I was getting a stitch down my left hand side, which I'm still getting today. Like it's not as tight today, but I still keep getting this stitch on the left hand side, sort of under my left boob and down. So that's not that comfortable, but I would say like in general, the majority of the time I am relatively comfortable considering how big my bump is. Like my back, I haven't had lots of back pain or anything like that. I was starting to find when we were away that it was nice to ask Dan for help getting my shoes on, and that was partly because I was wearing walking boots, so they're a bit harder, but I can see that that's going to come, that like getting your shoes on and off is going to get annoying. I can't yet tell like what the weather's going to be like because it's nearly the end of February now and the baby's supposed to come at the beginning of May, although I think it might be end of April, and I just can't tell whether that's going to feel like spring and I'll have been able to have some time wearing floatier, less warm clothes and shoes, or whether it's just going to feel like I've dressed for winter all the way through. That will be interesting. I'd quite like the opportunity to not have to wrap up as warm. I'll show you where we're at tummy wise. Be interesting to see what the midwife says at the next appointment, but that's the tum. I was at the pub last night with some friends and nobody sees me and doesn't say, oh, you've really popped. So yeah, I've also got some stretch marks that I didn't particularly have last time, but I mean I was expecting that because I think the more pregnancies you have, the more your belly gets stretched out, the more that happens. They're not particularly red or angry, they're just like, you can just see there's a bit of linear mottling, which is fine. Yeah, but I think the main symptom is sort of excitement and like nesting, and another thing of it being nice to be back is sort of wanting to get the house ready. I think I'm going to make a couple of videos about, one about getting our bedroom ready, one about getting this room ready, because one of my jobs is getting this room even better sort of set up for me as my studio. So I've got new shelving coming and storage boxes, and I'm also thinking of having a changing mat here, like a substantial one, and making one end of the sideboard like a changing station, because there's not really a natural place to do that now that Stan's bedroom is Stan's bedroom. Like for Stan, even for the first year he was sleeping in our room, there was space in his nursery to have that changing station, and there isn't now because that's where his bed is. So yeah, this is becoming a different video. But basically what I'm saying is, now that it's the third trimester, and particularly having had a premature baby, a very early baby before, I feel like it's time now to like build the cot and get everything ready, and that's really exciting. I think there's not loads to get because second baby, so we can use the same things we used before, but I think we need a baby car seat and a bouncer, because we inherited both of those last time with Stan and they both sort of died eventually. Or aren't in the best nick, so I think we chucked out the bouncer. So yeah, there's some shopping to do, so I might do a video about that as well. But yeah, it's sort of, it's not the home stretch, but it's like there's something official about being in the third trimester that makes it all feel very real and like a big kind of milestone, I would say. So that feels awesome. And yeah, that's where I'm at really. I am looking forward to speaking to you next time. Thank you so much for watching, And if you feel like giving this video a thumbs up or even subscribing, that would be so awesome. I always forget to say stuff like that, and I'm really grateful to the people who watch my videos. It would be so nice to gain a few new subscribers. So if you're somebody who watches but isn't yet subscribed, that would be really nice. But yeah, looking forward to speaking to you again soon.